Now, for more on the topic, I'm joined by Victor Salama. He is the Vice President of Business and International Partnerships with the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurships. Victor, that's quite a mouthful of a title, so a lot to talk about here tonight. I really enjoyed that story we just saw, but it seems to me it kind of focuses on what some could say is somewhat of the concern. You have these emerging areas that need entrepreneurs, but then you have someone from Great Britain who is coming in. Right. How do people reach out and help the people in those countries that could really benefit, A, by bringing business there, and B, by bringing the people who come up with the ideas?
Yeah, I mean, look, the thing is like, where is innovation needed, and where can we generate that innovation? You know, in our line of work, we work with thousands and thousands of youth who come up with new and innovative ideas. Now, it may not be a kinetic energy type of idea, but it's something that's needed in the local community. It's going to be extremely expensive to keep importing innovation to emerging markets. The innovation has to happen locally. It has to be developed locally. It could happen with technical assistance from a G20 country or a multinational corporation, but the innovation has to be developed locally, around the specific need if it's going to be, financially viable to implement.
We just saw the graphic there, emerging countries, growth is 4.3%. What is the projected growth over the next 5 to 10 years, and what is required to actually meet those goals?
I mean, certainly, I'm not an economist, but what we've read and what we've seen is that growth is projected over the next 3, 4, 5 years to be between 3 and 3.5%. It's certainly not enough to get employment up to a certain level that we need. I think that it's a challenge to see where some of these large-scale economies like the United States, Japan, and Europe happen. But we can't rely on those economies because what we've seen over the last decade is that they're lagging behind. We need to find some emerging economies that could boost those numbers up, and it's going to be a worldwide movement to get some of these emerging economies up to the level to balance out the slow growth in the developed countries. Let's
talk about the areas where there is potential for this to take off. For example, green entrepreneurship. Are we seeing that happening?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're seeing it. One country that I believe that can have a tremendous growth in this area is a country like Mexico. The government has created a new organization to foster entrepreneurship called INADEM. They have a very obviously a huge market right next to it in the United States. So we're seeing not only green but any type of tech-based businesses coming through all over the world. It's just a matter of will that innovation happen in a market that's ready for it and can pay for it? I think that's a huge question to be asked.
It's going to be interesting to see how it does happen. And one of the things, it seems like a lot of these areas are very rich in potential, almost like diamonds in the rough, because just a little bit of entrepreneurship, a little bit of progress is going to go a long way. How do you trigger that, and is that a fair way to address the way these...
It is.
I'm sorry?
It is. I think a lot of the investment has to come at sort of the secondary and tertiary, in education institution level. I mean, we have to get young people to think innovatively. We need to give them the support to do it. You're seeing it throughout, and just a thought. A very well-known college here called Babson College is opening a college in Saudi Arabia. You see Instituto de Empresa, i.e. from Spain, getting 25% of its students from Latin America. So there's a lot of demand for that, but we need to keep educating our young people and our youth to think innovatively and think like entrepreneurs. It's the only way we're going to see innovation happen throughout the world and not just in concentrated areas.
And it's also important from an area like the U.S. to think globally. Just talk about that, how important it is, and to get people who can be entrepreneurs to reach out to other areas.
Well, yeah, the great thing about today's technology is that you can reach markets all over the world with in a very simple way. The great news about the United States is that we export a lot of our know-how, we export a lot of our education, and we can continue to foster this entrepreneurial mindset and entrepreneurial activities in different areas. I think one of the things that governments can really help out here is all over the world is by lowering barriers to business formation and entry, and allow technology flow to go to emerging markets, and then we'll see people in emerging markets also develop their own innovative ideas, and hopefully they'll export them to the United States and other markets.
Okay, we're going to leave it at that. Victor Salama, thanks very much for joining us today. We certainly appreciate your insight. Now, for more stories on small startups around the world that are making big business, check us out online at cctvamerica.com. And if your startup has the potential to make a global impact, you can also find out how to submit information to CCTV America's starting block. Okay, we're going to